what happens when the reserve requirement goes to zero? Well, it means now they can lend out $1,000 of fake money. And that's what happened along with printing more money. So understand what happens is they send each of us fake money, currency, then you deposit it. So you remember think about this with the EIDL. You got 10,000, 50,000, 100, 150,000. Whatever you got something. What'd you do? You put it in the bank. That was your first move.
They send it to the bank.
They sent right there. It didn't go anywhere else, did it? And at that exact moment, the bank now has the capacity to lend out a ton more money without touching any of the dollars that they literally could double it. You got control over 150, they got 300. So the question is what can we do? Right? What can you do? One of the things I love to do, just because I know many of us have an interest in the whole real estate world. This right here is why I like selling property and carrying the paper. It's the closest we can get to literally printing money. Because that's one way we can do it, is to have a product in this case, or actually service, and begin to take payments on it, because that interest did not exist before, or if the value, depending on whatever the purchase price is, all of that stuff, that money has to be quote unquote borrowed into existence in order to be repaid, et cetera, and comes to you. That is one of many ways to play defense. Another is to have a business, specifically a service business like short-term rentals, because you and I possess the ability to duplicate in the same way they duplicate the currency. We can duplicate delivery of the service over and over and over again. The only difference is we have a limited number, just like their printing press, for all intents and purposes, can only go so fast per day. Well, we have the same thing. It's just called how many units do you have? See, this is why separating, and this is that lesson, Derek. This is one of the benefits of what you just discovered, is when you separate your income from direct labor and time, from the clock, then what you end up with is the capacity to quote unquote print money. How much money? Well, that depends on how many units you have every day. And that's really what it comes down to. Learning to run the system at scale and efficiently becomes your defense, because before it was just your little feet scurrying along, doing the best you can against this big printing machine, just going boom, boom every day. And then now it becomes your little feet, but you're starting to store your energy into an asset, not just going straight for currency, storing it into an asset that whose capacity keeps getting released every time you learn to effectively sell that asset into the marketplace. Like what you just heard Alicia talk about. They just learned it. They're like, wait a minute. And now I have time to go get another asset. Yes.
What I thought was really interesting was I know what an asset is, but after reading this book, I feel like the definition of an asset in my mind, for some reason, just kind of exploded, right? Like gold and silver could be an asset, and you become what they call a cycles investor, right? And you watch the cycle on all these different assets, be it gold and silver, be it real estate, be it the stock market, be it commodities, or whatever. And watch the cycles and all of these, and then that's where you put your energy, for a lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Correct.
Can I say something about that? Because that brought up something that I've found curious, because he talks a lot about the difference between price and value.
Yes.
And that kind of put a light bulb in my head to say, because we've been sitting around, frankly, we built this house. So I'm like, I want to take something that I got and see how does it compare to other things of value, right? So we built our house in July of 2014. Okay. I think we paid $281 thereabouts for it, $281,000. Today it's worth like $350,000. So we're sitting around thinking, cool, that's like 70 grand that it went up in value. But after reading this book, I decided, well, since money isn't a thing of value, well, currency isn't a thing of value, perhaps that's the wrong measure. Perhaps I should now measure the value of my home against something else of value.
Like
gold and silver. So what I did is I went back and said, okay, how many pieces of gold how many ounces of gold would it have taken to buy my house in, 2014 when we built it? And the answer is, in July of 2014, it would have taken 212, let's call it 213 ounces of gold to buy that $280,000 house.
Yep.
Today, I can buy my $350,000 house for a mere 189 ounces of gold.
Yeah.
So relative to gold, my house has actually lost $43,000 worth of value as measured in currency.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? That's exactly my point. That you just nailed it right there, because everything measured in gold or in currencies is actually, especially the United States dollar, is literally crashing. So let's be clear. How many, you said 213 ounces?
Originally, yeah.
Okay.
2014.
So 213 ounces today is, what is spot price of gold, anybody?
Well, as of the 11th, 1850.
1850. Okay, cool. I'll use that. That's fine. 1850. That would be the equivalent. Let me see. You said 213?
Correct.
And what was the new number? 213 minus what was the actual? You said today it would cost you 100 and what gold?
189.
Exactly. So let me see. 189. So that's 24. So that's 213. No. You said 19. You said 1850. So that's 44,000 US dollars that, and I'm going to say it this way, that have been stolen from you and your family over the last 6 years because you bought a house.
They put the conventional method. Man, John, I'm so glad you did this. The conventional method of thinking, or mode of thinking, is, oh, I've gained value.
I know that.
I gained
crazy.
currency.
This is crazy.
But value is relative.
Right.
Value is it's always been relative.
So,
it's not new.
That opposite is true.
Correct.
Robber barons. I'm done. I'm out of here.
Yeah, don't get me started, bro. So as measured in US dollars, yes, you feel like I have more. This must be better. That is completely psychological. And the truth of the matter is you've lost purchasing power. Now, did you need a place to stay? Sure, absolutely. Was that the best financial decision? No, period. There's just no. Because you have to, as measured in currency, you have to have a higher return on investment. That is what attracted me initially years ago to the whole short-term rental world. I'm like, wait a minute, this looks like we got a shot. we actually have a shot of gaining some ground here instead of falling further behind because of the leverage involved by not buying the property. So it is a combination of all of those things that come together that create your ability to outprint the money printer, if you will. And then what you do with that currency matters. Once you now have it, that's where profit first, that's where understanding the rest of the cash flow cycle has come in, because we have to make sure that now that you've developed the machine that can outprint, you now have to take what it is printing, and you don't just save it in the bank because it sits there and rots. You have to put it to work so that you protect its purchasing power. Maybe you do, quote unquote, earn a return, but what's more important is protecting its purchasing power. Remember, rule number one inside of NPP is don't lose money. Don't lose purchasing power. It's rule number one. And by just letting the currency sit in the bank, you're guaranteed to lose. Like it's a promise. And they're making that promise openly by saying things like no reserve on fractional reserve banking. Boom, reserve goes to zero. They make that promise every time they say, we're trying to keep inflation only to 2%. We can have that conversation another day. It ain't been 2% in a long time, but whatever. And even if it was, they're still saying, hey, we're going to steal 2% from you every year. Are you okay with that? And if you don't understand how all of the math works together, you feel like, well, at least I got my college education and borrowed the money for that. And at least I got the house. At least I've been doing all the things the right way. And this is where we are. What we're doing is I'm trying to give you an even stronger foundation. So it's not just about I'm trying to be some savvy business owner. No, I'm legit we're here. We're trying to give your family a shot. Like a shot. We hope. Here's how you can have a shot. Because if you're not doing something like this, that earns something like this, I don't know how you're going to actually gain purchasing power. I have no idea how. That's just me being real. This is just to play defense against what has already been set in motion long before you and I were alive. Don't get upset with it. Remember, it's just like you're playing a new card game. Like I started playing Go. I'm learning. Let me save that before I say like I'm some sort of player. Oh God, I'm learning to play Go. Let's just put it that way. And I got to learn the rules, right? And but if I start trying to play Monopoly, but I'm on a Go board, it doesn't work. And now that you understand or beginning to understand the rules a little bit differently and deeper, maybe that translates into different actions, different intensity behind your actions, or just a different understanding. And then therefore creates a new version of you that goes out into the world and helps yourself and others, because it's happening to everyone every day. And what is uncommon about the time that you and I live in right now is that we, the commoner, have uncommon access to things that can protect us from this. The chief among them being the internet and digital assets, because the combination of those two things give us a way to participate in what are technically deflationary economic systems that can help us. This is, again, why you hear me say, I don't ever want to sell any of it. I want to put it away and then get a loan on it, because I still want the asset to sit there and then get a loan on it. It needs to sit there and get a loan on it. That makes sense all kinds of ways.